Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Andrea from the Reach Museum, and this is the second video in our moon phase series. So if you want a little background on the activities I'm about to show you, head over to watch video 1. But if you've already watched video 1 or want to skip right to the activities, you're in the right place. First, let's talk about easy ways to observe the moon and the way the moon seems to change over the course of about a month. We call these the moon's phases. But aside from looking like it changes shape, the moon often looks like it's changing size. Sometimes it looks bigger in the sky and sometimes smaller. And sometimes it even looks like it's changing color. None of these things actually happen. The moon does not change size, it does not change shape, and it doesn't change color. But what we see has to do with where the sun and the earth and the moon are as they orbit around each other. So here you see the orbit that the earth takes around the sun. And then here you can see the moon orbits around the earth. Depending on where everything is, the moon looks different. The best way to get familiar with all the changes that happen with the moon is to observe them yourself. I like to go outside every night and observe the moon before I go to bed. And if you make a habit of finding the moon every night, you can record some data. So here's a very simple moon observation craft. Now, I made this one last night, and I started by finding something that was circular in shape that I could trace. And so I traced a bunch of circles, and then here, this was last night. I want to remind myself that the moon is always the same shape, so I use the same size circle. But I don't always see the whole circle. So here, last night, I shaded the part of the moon that I couldn't see. So the shape that I saw in the sky looked more like this white part. Knowing what I know about moon cycles, I know that that is a waxing gibbous moon. And knowing even more, thinking about what I've observed about moons, I know that the next phase is a full moon. So I looked up when the next full moon was, and I filled out the shape that I expect to see between now and the next full moon. So the moon looks like it's getting bigger and bigger in the sky until finally, it's kind of not very dark, till finally it's a full moon. And we call the moon, as it's getting brighter and bigger, we call that a waxing moon. It's getting fuller and fuller, and eventually will be a full moon. Now when the moon is full, then we start to see less and less and less of it as it moves towards a new moon. We call that waning. The amount of moon we see is getting smaller and smaller. It's waning. So, again, if you observe the moon for about a month, a little bit less than a month, you should see all these moon phases. And then, once you have recorded some data, I've got another sweet activity for you that you can try to review the moon's phases. And all you need, well, the most important thing you need are Oreo type cookies. So these Oreo type cookies, and you'll need at least 8, are going to be phases of our moon. So the first thing you need to do, these are not Oreos, so the tops are pretty hard to get off. So the first thing you need to do is remove the top. There you have it. This is my full moon. But if I'm gonna go through all the phases, I need not all full moons, right? So I'm gonna make a first quarter moon. So I'll take my cookie and I'm gonna cut half of the filling out. And now I have my quarter moon. Then you can either eat through your moon phases right away, or you can create some fun, delicious science art. So here's what I created. These are my moon phases out of Oreo cookies. And you might wonder, how did you get them to stick on the plate? I didn't use glue, but what I did use that is also edible is frosting. So, to get your moons to stick on your plate, you just grab a little frosting and you just smear a glob onto the back side of your moon phase and it should stick right on your plate. So now we can review our moon phases in a very delicious way. So here, we'll start with our new moon. Then we have our first quarter moon. And remember, when the moon is looks to be getting bigger and bigger, we see more of it, it's waxing. So here's our, first quarter, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous. Here's our full moon, delicious. Here's our waning gibbous. So now it looks like the moon is getting smaller and smaller. Waning gibbous, third quarter moon, and waning crescent, and then we're back to our new moon, and we have a delicious and informative piece of culinary art. So, again, eat your way through them as you make them, or stick them all on a plate and review the phases, and then celebrate with some cookies. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, if you do these activities, feel free to post your pictures in the comments. We love to see them. And if you have questions, let us know. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.